Good evening, and welcome back to my little hobby area. Tonight we're going to be looking at assembling hopefully all, if not some, of the Gaunt ghosts, following the official instructions, of course. Well, mainly because we don't have any choice, because there's only one way to assemble these things. But if you do see any black flecks, by the way, crossing the camera, please don't be alarmed. My house is not on fire, but I did have to take a match to my poly cement to get it unstuck. So that's been my evening. So I'm also trying out a slightly different camera setup this time. I've got my overhead camera, and I've got my camera at the side, which I will be, like I say, whether that's going to show the whole thing or whether that's just going to be individual bits of it, who knows. But like I say, let's see how this works. So let's get started. Unsurprisingly, the first miniature on the list is Gaunt himself. So my clippers, and as you can see, bolt pistol. What commissar would be without his bolt pistol? I'm not quite. I do remember the early days, the early days of the Guard, where commissars were quite capable of killing almost an entire squad, just because. They are. I do like their blamming. I don't believe that's the official term, but that's what we all call it. I do like their current blamming rule. It does work quite nicely, coupled with a commissar's ridiculously high leadership. It is a very, very effective tool. So let's have a look. So part 13 and 14. That's 13. Obviously, the workshop is going very heavily on the kind of like scenic base. Let's see how that works out. I've actually got some stuff from the army painter to have a look at later, which is about it's their basing kit. You got some really cool stuff in it. Actually, you get some PVA glue. Very cool for those of you who remember it from school. Very cool stuff, very useful, and very good for coating your fingers, peeling it off. If you didn't do it at school, you were missing a trick. So there's that. Right, so let's have a look. So that is all the parts. Sorry, I've got my little tub of stuff over here with a random. What the hell's that? What's that? Now this is a piece of a heavy flamer, I think, possibly a multi-melter this is a piece of a heavy flamer, possibly a multi-melter that I stole the end off to rescue a hellhound that I got off of eBay. Was it Troll Trader? Troll Trader. Sorry, these are my big clippers for getting big bits off of sprues. And I've got, like I say, I've got my paintbrushes, and in here somewhere should be my file. I've also got a couple of different sculpting tools that I've picked up when I'm doing milliput or green stuff, tweezers, for the very rare occasions I can't avoid putting transfers on. And possibly one of my favourite brushes going, the Army Painter Vehicle Terrain Brush. Very handy when you're trying to paint a Lehman Russ. Right, so let's have a look. Sorry, I'm not used to this, so I do apologise. I'm trying to get everything into shot, but I think I need to mark this out. What do you guys think? And maybe get that marked out. Let's have a look. So, yeah, Citadel are a lot better with their mold lines than they ever used to be. I remember my first kind of like Citadel miniatures really were the Orlok and Goliath gangs from the original, gosh, that's taking me back, the original Necromunda, way back in the 90s. And they were a laugh and a half, but they were quick. They were very quick to assemble, and that I think was one of the advantages that those ones had over the more modern ones. Now the more modern ones, amazing miniatures, absolutely amazing miniatures, but unfortunately, it's not going to work for you guys, is it? You can't see a blooming thing then. Okay, let's get that up there. I'll have to have a play around with that setting. Um, but amazing miniatures. But they took an absolute age to put together. I am a relatively experienced model maker, I would say. I've been building Citadel miniatures on and off for quite a few years, since the mid 90s actually. For those of you who are watching on Dave Plus One, that was before the great pandemic, where it all went horribly wrong. Um, but I say they had back and say they were the first set miniatures ever made. I sat on my bed using a pair of cutters that my dad gave me, and knocked out the entire, I think it was 24 Goliaths and Orlocks in a couple of hours. But it took ages to build the Goliaths and Ashes in the new Necromunda box set, and this is the downside to some of the better. So say the quality of the models has gone up incredibly. It's amazing. This is when I look at the difference between a plastic Space Marine from 40k, the second edition 40k box set that I had with monopose Space Marines and Orcs and Gretchen as they were back there, as opposed to Grots. When I look at what they were like back then, I'm just going to get the craft knife, I think. When I look at what they were like back then and what we've got now, I mean, it's just amazing. The detail. Ooh, can you see that? The detail on the models these days is amazing. But because of that, they take an absolute age to build. It is ridiculous. I'm just going to turn that camera off. I don't think that's going to work. I don't think that second camera is going to work really. So I'm going to turn that off for a bit. But like I said, the detail is incredible. I mean, it was the stuff that we got in the new the Necromunda set a few years ago was absolutely incredible. It was my first experience with the kind of like the latest batch of Citadel miniatures, and it was just incredible. It's amazing. I'll see if I can dig some of them out later. But oh dearie me, I've got to get used to not. My problem is I tend to build my stuff quite close to me, and I'm just trying to get used to making sure you guys can actually see what I'm doing. Otherwise, there's not really much point in doing this, is there? The problem is I am a bit short-sighted, and even with my glasses on, holding it this far away from me does make it a little bit difficult to see. So we will have to see. But the point is, it's not so much about you watching me painstakingly remove all the mold lines from this. This is more about the shared experience of crafting together, shall we say. I believe that's the thing they like to do these days. And like I say, we'll see how this goes. This is as new for me as it is for you. I mean, I've spent years watching people doing stuff with Citadel miniatures online, and I thought, do you know what? Sod it, I'm going to do something too, because I need to do my army. So why not film it and share it with, well, at the moment, all three of you, but you never know. It might It might expand eventually. But, just bear with me one moment. Anyway, sorry. So you may have heard some voices on there. That was my wife and son, and I was needed to assist with some urgent domestic business. Anyway, what was I? But yeah, like I say, I thought, you know what, I might as well just record myself wittering on, and who knows, we might all learn something. Um, I am. But I would also say, be under no illusion, I am no Duncan Rhodes. You are not going to be seeing masterpieces of painting or much of anything really. Um, but I will do my best. That might be a bit better. Let's try that and see how that works. That's better. That's a bit more natural for me. Right, but yeah, yeah, I am no Duncan Rhodes. You are not going to be seeing masterpieces of modeling or painting from me. For me, it is all about the gaming. As I say, I've been playing tabletop battle games, exclusively Games Workshop. I am aware that other systems do exist, but I've been playing tabletop battle games for most of the last, well, say most of the last 30 odd years. Um, and it's been a blast. I've played some really good games, some really cool people. I played Necromunda all through university, a campaign I ran at my university. I played a couple of games of 40k while I was there, including one of my, which did actually it was whilst I was at university, playing against a friend's Dark Eldar with my Space Marines, that I managed one of the most amazing things I've ever managed. In a in a tabletop game. Oh look, it's his head. Look at him. Look at his head. Can you see his head? Let's see if it'll autofocus on it for you. Oh dear me. No, that's not going to work, is it? Anyway, but I managed to. I was playing Dark Eldar, and obviously, if those of you don't know, I mean, where were you at the time? Dark Eldar were the designated bad guys in the third edition box set, and they had some nasty pieces of work in there. But they were very much glass cannons. They were incredibly, incredibly quick, but very, very lightly armored and very easy to kill. And back in the day, this was, as I say, this was the third edition. This was the point at which they basically said, right, getting rid of all the really cheesy stuff like strategy cards with virus grenades, and that was always a fun one. You get a virus outbreak and destroy it's entirely possible to destroy a sizable proportion of your opponent's army before they even got started, unless they were Space Marines or Eldar aspect warriors. But I say, so back in the day, the third edition rolled along, everything got simplified, everything got reduced in power. It was all, it was all very much very straightforward. And so it took out a lot of the complex rules like Overwatch, which are only just starting to come back. Back in my day, back in second edition, Overwatch, you declared Overwatch on your turn, and basically you could fire at any point during the opponent's movement phase, and it was all very, very good. But I say there was a lot of record keeping in that day. You had flamers; they were hilarious. You could set people on fire; they'd run around and damage more people, set more people on fire. Absolutely hilarious. But like I said, they got rid of that, and the idea was that they would it would simplify everything, make it a lot quicker to play, and a lot easier to play as well, because you wouldn't need umpteen thousand counters for everything, which is good in a way. It did take some aspects of it out, but the core of the game is still there. But anyway, in this particular version, the the um, skimp vehicles had their own damage charts, and if you were open topped, sorry, and also there was a special vehicle damage chart. If you hit a vehicle, you rolled on a particular table depending on the type of vehicle and stuff like that, and you had a special table which was for ordnance weapons, which was pretty nasty. You could basically I think it was on like a 3 or 4, anything above a 3 or 4 on a D6, and that was all she wrote for the vehicle in question. Um, but of course, all of the Dark Eldar, or Drukhari as they're called now, I think, all of the Dark Eldar vehicles were open top skimmers. So here comes me with my Space Marine Whirlwind. I say again, for the 3 of you who don't know, Whirlwind is a Space Marine missile launcher. It is, I say, it's always been quite nasty, but it's got nastier as the additions have gone on. That doesn't look quite right somehow. I got that wrong. Okay. This arm looks a bit awkward, doesn't it? That might be why I've got no. There we go, Darren. Got it in the end, didn't we? But anyway, so along comes me with my my whirlwind, and get the first turn and drop drop a whirlwind launcher template onto his raider, which had pretty much well, certainly 2/3 of his army's points value in it, because it had his lord, it had I think it was incubi, and basically a lot of stuff in it, and boom, knocked it out on a 6 hit, rolled a 6 on the hit on the damage table, which basically made sure it explodes and killed everything in the vehicle with no save, if memory serves, or a very difficult save. Yeah, and basically it took out his entire army. It took out 2/3 of his army's points value, and I think I then had a very good turn of shooting with some devastators, which took out the majority of the rest, and I basically won after 1 turn. That was an entertaining, if not the most hard-fought game I've ever played. And here we have Ibram Gaunt, reporting for duty, as they say. But, got him there in the end. So I'll pop him up there on my laptop. But, so yeah, so that was that. Now, as I say, this was a number of years ago. This is like 2002. This was, I think. But yeah. So what we're going to do next? 7 8 and 9. And my first experience with metal sit-down miniatures, which you don't see very many of these days, which is good because metal is a pain in the ass to work with, and um, the plastic's so much easier, it's so much more forgiving, and there's so much more you can do with it. And all the plastic kits, well, I say all the plastic kits, they're not all interchangeable, but it's a lot easier to kit bash plastic kits. I've got my guard have got several models that have got just bits from plastic kits. I've got some that have got various bits from I think Chaos Barbarians from Warhammer, of all places, on there. 7, 8, and 9, which is going to be that one. But yeah, it's so my first metal kit was the metal that the original Van Saar gang from Necromunda, which I got for my Christmas present, and I absolutely love those guys. I think I've still got one of them somewhere. I think I use him as a one with a long las gun, and I think I've still got him somewhere because I used him as a sniper, a Cadian sniper, because of course Cadians are the one true Imperial Guard regiment. Well, they're the only real choice you've got these days, isn't it? It's like it's not like, I mean, obviously you've got the Catachans, but yeah, the most people, you think of the Imperial Guard, you're thinking Cadians really. They're kind of like the Ultramarines of the Astra Militarum, but far, far better, because they do everything they do with a flashlight and a thick vest. They don't need no superhuman engineering or the ability to sleep half their brain at a time. No, not us. We just get a flashlight, a thick vest, and the Emperor's mightiest wheelbarrow to carry their cast iron balls around in. And that's one of the reasons I love the Guard, because anyone can be brave. Anyone can be brave when you've been indoctrinated, literally indoctrinated. If you read the fluff, the Space Marines, thousands and thousands of hours of psycho indoctrination, and like I say, thousands of hours of psycho indoctrination, superhuman. They are incredible feats of engineering. But I say it's very easy to be brave when you've been literally built from the ground up to be brave. It's I say it's not quite a big a feat as and you've got a gun that fires small explosive rockets. You've got armor that will give you a chance of surviving pretty much anything that your standard grunt is going to throw at you. And it's very easy to be brave when that's your day to day. But when all you've got is, as I say, the old fact that as those in the Guard say, a flashlight and a thick vest, it's a lot more. It takes a lot more. And so it's one of the reasons I like the Guard. They are the underdogs. I mean, they've got your average guardsman. He's just, like I say, pitiful if you think about it. But when there's several hundred of them rapid firing las guns, as well as all of the tanks, like I say, it suddenly becomes a very different matter. And I say there's multiple ways to play the Guard. Of course, there's obviously no one way to play the guard. I mean, personally, I've got a lot of tanks. I've got a lot of tanks. Well, I say I've got a lot of tanks. I've got 3 Leman Russ that I can field. I've got 3 Leman Russ that I can field, and I've got a Basilisk. I've got a couple of Chimeras, and I've got a Hellhound. What head do I need? Number 11, part 11, part 10, and part 12. So yeah, I was going to try and do them all tonight, but I think I might have to finish with this guy because it is getting quite late. But 10, 11, 11, 11, 11. Oh, there we go. But my intention is to field eventually. I want to be able to field a full 12. Let's say 12 is the maximum you can field in a standard force organization chart. Russ's 3 squadrons are 3 and 3 HQ choices as command tanks. You'll get bugger all in the way of troops unless you've got unless you're playing a truly massive game. But as I say, it's not. I don't subscribe to the theory that if you're taking lots of guardsmen, then you're doing something wrong, because the guardsmen are the bread and butter of the army. They're to say they are the everything. It's very much like a modern army. Everything essentially, if you look at it, everything in the Imperial Guard, very much like a modern army, is dedicated to either getting the infantry to the target. So they're dedicated to getting the infantry to the target, helping them seize the target, or helping them stay there. And that's all it's there for. As I say, everything in the modern army is devoted to as I say, is all based around the infantry. If you've ever read, if you've not read the Starship Troopers novel by Robert Heinlein, you probably should. It's a very good book, and it's nothing like the film. The film is good in its own right, but it shares very, very little apart from basic plot idea and the name with the novel. But I would strongly recommend having a read if you haven't already, because it is a very, very good book. But yeah, so there's that. I think I'm going to get some new poly cement soon. This is starting to get quite gummy. Oh, dearie me. No rest for the weary, as they say. But yeah, I had to read that at university during a history course. But my first year module, one of my first year modules was the history of science fiction, and it was a fascinating module. And then who's got his lasgun to go on here? But yeah, we read some really good books actually. Forever War was another one, which we had to. One of the essays we were looking at was comparing and contrasting that. But you can't see that, can you? I'm gonna have to get a lot better at this, I think. But yeah, there's a lot of. I really enjoyed my university. But I say, never done anything with my history degree, but it was certainly fun getting it. There we go. ghost number 2. What's this chap? What's this chap called? Corbec. So he's a Corbec's Hot Shot Las Carbine. Ooh, Salt 3. Nice. But yeah, so interesting to see how these pan out on the tabletop. But my plan is to integrate these guys into my army. Obviously, got his head wrong. Not doing very well with these guys, am I? It's the pressure of talking to you guys as well. We all live and learn, don't we? I feel a little bit like that painter, Bob Ross, was it? Be our little secret. Is that what he used to say? But I might have to play with this guy later. So I can't figure out for the life of me how this is meant to go on. And all you can see is my hands, because I'm not doing a very good job of this, am I? This is the thing. It's not easy. I might do. I think the phrase "nailed it" comes to mind, but I'll have a play with that off camera later, get that right before. But as I say, I think I'm going to have to leave you there because I have got my day job to go to tomorrow. And I don't want to be up too late. I think I got it. There we go. There we go. That's like I say, it's that's not bad for 40 minutes work, is it? 2 models. And, like I say, obviously with the pandemic, we're not going to be playing in person anytime soon. And whilst I am aware that people have managed to do kind of like online 40k, that sounds like a whole lot of hassle that I really don't need. But I say I've got my other games I can play. I've got City Skylines. I've got my D&D sessions with the amazing cast and crew, as they say. Alex, Becky, Liam, Tim, my usual D&D group, which runs, I say every Sunday, most Sundays at the moment, because real life's getting in the way. But I'm sure I'll talk more about my RPGs in the future. But that's it for tonight. Until next time, stay safe, and I will speak to you again soon.